Hi, Puti.
Well, hello, 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 hello,
Hi, how
hello.
are you?
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
Yeah, man, first of all, but otherwise I'm good. I'm okay. I'm straight.
No, winter is fighting. It doesn't want to leave us quite yet.
Oh, it doesn't want to
Yeah.
be released, man. It's still online.
Mm,
It doesn't want to log out. It
yeah,
doesn't want to log
true.
out.
That's
Like
awesome.
some behind the scenes, I've got a blanket right here and a heater right next to me. You guys don't see, but it's real. Like it's real out
The
here.
joys of working from home, hey? Because in an office setup, we wouldn't have that.
Facts, facts, facts,
Yeah.
facts.
All
But
right.
hey, anyway, um, guys, what up, everybody? I see you, Nono. Hi, Snetem. I see everybody. Thank you for joining in.
Hi,
So,
everybody.
yeah. So guys, I've got a very awesome person here. Beautiful lady, married, so behave. Um, she's a sister of mine, but also I would say like a very much of a mentor figure as well. And I just wanted to get her on because there's like some important things that I feel like some of her philosophies and ways of thinking. I think are just like essential conversations to have, especially for us young people trying to get it because it's such a confusing world right now. We're in like this phase where we're transitioning in so many ways, you know. So I just feel like once in a while it's good for us to really have, you know, some good conversation. So I was like, yeah, there's one person I know who's really good for a good conversation. Uh, but yeah, I'll let you introduce yourself. I mean, you've got so many titles. Like, I don't know. I
I
might miss one out. So go introduce yourself first.
know. Hi everyone. Thank you so much. As you said, I'm a child of God. I'm a wife. I'm a chartered accountant. I'm a lecturer. I'm a business person. I'm a mentor. I'm a mentee. I'm a mom. Yes, so it's quite a lot that goes on. I do quite a lot of things, rightfully so. It depends where I'm at, really, and then I wear that hat at that particular point in time. I'm very passionate about developing people and yeah, especially young
So
people. So yeah.
yes, I am part of those people, and I feel great. I feel really awesome to have you.
Mm.
I think let's just go right at it. Like you've got many hats and many things, but I just want to know what are you passionate about? Like, how did you find yourself in all of these spheres? Because to be honest, like it's tough. One of them is just tough. Being a wife is tough. Being a CA is tough. Being, you know, a mentor is tough. You know, humbling yourself or growing into the shadow of being a mentee is tough as well. So, like, how did you find yourself? Is it your passion or is it a specific thing that you're trying to achieve? Like, you know, how did you find yourself with all these hats? Like, how did you get here?
Well, I think at the base of it all is a passion with a gift where I just love developing people, and since I was young, like even when I was growing up, I would be in the higher grade and teaching kids in the lower grade, type of thing, because it was just sort of a gift and everything sort of built from that. So when I was in varsity, then I had this need to go just share the journey and the bursaries available for students in matrix to say, guys, there's life at varsity, and these are the things you experience when you get to varsity, because sometimes you make certain mistakes and you wish those following you would not make those same mistakes. So I've
Yeah.
always had that. And when I got into the workplace again, I had this passion for pulling the ones coming in to say, you know what, guys, this is how the workplace is. So please be wise and don't fall in the same trap. I think for me, one of the legacies I want to leave is people mustn't fall in the same traps that I've fallen in. And if they happen to fall in that, they must also look at me and know that they can get out of that. So that's how basically everything has sort of built. And then coming into lecturing again, it was again, I guess, fulfilling that thing of living and just empowering others to become the best that they can be. And it sort of grew, with life as well. Then got married, had a miscarriage, in 2017. And that's when I wrote the book, The Power Within You too. It was just, again, a reflection in a time of darkness, you know, where you are so confused. You start questioning yourself. You start questioning everything around you, whether you are capable or not, you know. And after some reflections, it just came out, and the God was like, no, this is the same thing that you do. It's you now just expanding and getting a chance to tell other people more than just academics, you know, about the grace of God and how good God is. So yeah, I think at the base of it is just a passion to develop people, to see them become the best that they can be.
Wow. Like you said a lot, and you know, I really wanted to have you here because you have all these, you know, amazing, well-earned and well-achieved titles. But, you know, I feel like it's so important for people to really share their story, you know, because we live in, you know, the Instagram phase where what you see the Benz, you see the house, you see the kid, you see the husband, and we start following you because you see that you have the things that we desire. But I want to really get like to behind the scenes of how we get there, and as you know, as a conversation they're having, like rising above how to get there. So you mentioned something very like personal right now, which I don't know how much you would like to share, but like I know a lot of women go through this, you know, miscarriage, you know, things. That's like something that can really take somebody out of their game. So when you say you wrote this book, you know, during that phase, that's a lot of strength. So can you just share like the story of like how you got to now writing this book? Like how did this book, I mean, it's one thing to go through something that, well, like what mind frame were you in when you wrote this book and you're going through so much? Like how did the book come about through you know, that phase of darkness? How did you rise above that situation to getting the book done?
Yes. So I think because it was so late in the pregnancy, because I was 38 weeks, just literally left with 7 days, almost full term, you know, and generally it's like 1% of women actually lose babies at that stage of the pregnancy. So it was quite hectic, you know, and I think that is why I went into this dark place, because I had lost loved ones before. But this one was different because it was in me, you know, it was this person I had developed with. But also the tricky part about it was, well, nobody else really knew this person except what I told them about this person, because this person was growing inside of me, you know. So it's such a struggle in my head, you know, but it put me in a point where I was like, okay, Lord, I don't think I can get through this. You know, I don't have the strength to get through this. I think this is it for me as far as life is concerned, you know. And God had to take me back to seasons in my life where I felt like I will not get through this, you know. And he gave me James chapter 1 verse 3 to say the testing of your faith produces endurance, you know. And when your faith is tested, then your endurance will lead to, I'm just paraphrasing this verse, the power within you to endure all things, you know. And it doesn't say some things, it says all things, you know. And the emphasis there was, you're going to endure this, you know. And God started giving me the different scenarios where I've had seasons, rough seasons, and I pushed through them, even though they were not easy, like becoming a chartered accountant. Like literally I had to fail the same year. I failed it 4 times, which meant I repeated the same year 5 times, you know, and I made it to become a chartered accountant, you know. He made me look back at a time and season where I was accused of things. Thank you. I was accused of things at church that I didn't do, you know, and I got through that. It reminded me of a time when my house was broken into and I lost almost everything, and I had to start over again and rebuying stuff, you know. So it was like, you are going to get through this season. Trust the process, you know.
Yeah.
So I started jotting down all these things that God was reminding me of, because it was like, you've got the power to forgive. You've got the power to start over. You've got the power to endure, you know. So from that, then that was my healing process, you know. And I started then to look for places to visit. Like in February, then my husband and I decided to take what we have for the baby to Breath of Life, which is a place where they keep abandoned babies and try to find them homes, you know. And we went there and we gave what we had for the baby. And for us, it was just sewing because the baby was no more. But when I got there, I saw a need, a great need, that I just would visit on a weekly now to say, you know what, there are people and children far worse off than me, you know. And
Yep.
God opened my eyes to a different perspective, and I saw what I was going through in a different light, you know. And the second thing that I learned during that season, because it was quiet, people were just quiet, there were no calls, there was nothing. And I was like, hey, I thought I had people around me, but now it's silent, you know. And after a while, people were like, you know what, it's not that we were not thinking of you, we were, and we were praying for you, but we just couldn't call you because we didn't know what to say to you. We didn't know how you were going to handle certain things, you know. And again, for me, that was another perspective God was showing me to say, education, you know, we need to educate people, we need to empower people, you know. And I made a commitment to the Lord to say, you know what, for as long as I live and I know of a woman who's lost a baby, I'll be available for that woman so that they don't journey along, you know. And I think that for me is the greatest thing, even about life generally, to say what you are going through, it's not just for you. And there's a bigger purpose in it, you know. We always connect the dots after the effect. So yeah.
That's beautiful. Like you said, so many gems. Oh my goodness! Like I'll just take the next one. Like whatever you're going through is not just for you. And I know that personally, you know, because even the Bible itself, it's a book of testimonies. You know what I'm saying? Just to remind us that we can make it through the worst, and there's a bigger plan besides, but that's besides the situation that's happening now. And you know, like you just shared so much as well, just about. I see you just like you have a deep sense of purpose inside of you, which I feel like is something, you know, God has really implanted in you so that you can use it as energy to overcome all of the situations that you've been through. But you just said something that's so personal because a lot of us are trying to get somewhere. I'm just picking up some of the things you're saying now. But a lot of us are trying to get somewhere. But I mean, I remember I failed one of the, I think it was my first or second year. It messed me up for like a really, really long time. Like it put me like, you know, 4 times.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's talk about rising above. Let's talk about it like, listen. No, we have a real talk now. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Like, how are you even going back the next day? Like, okay, for one of the things that gets to us, even in terms of purpose, you know what I'm saying? I'm mentioning this in terms of the school specifically, but even in terms of purpose, we think about what are people gonna say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Issue and bad issue. You know, like hey.
Yeah.
Because purpose doesn't work out immediately. When you have a purpose, that thing's not gonna happen. It's not gonna be fulfilled in the same day. You know what I'm saying? And now you're telling me you failed the first time, the second time, like. What is the mentality? Like how you there's friends, you there's money. Like how like what was the, like how did you keep going to that phase? You know what I'm saying? Like when were you getting the strength to say no? I'm going in again. It hurt, but I'm going in again. Like what was that engine? What was that, you know, petrol for you to keep going again and again?
You know, before I get to that question, I think this is very important. Okay. I think the first failure will knock you off. Really, it hits you hard, you know. And then the second time, you're like, in fact, maybe I dreamt too big. You know, it's not for me. After all, there are other avenues that I could be taking. You know, there are other careers people are making it. I could be teaching. And mind you, at that time, I'm going through this season, I'm already lecturing. So the students I'm lecturing are going to the next level. They're coming closer to the level where I'm at. And I go teach new students. I'm like, I've failed. And they're like, hey, they're giving us a very dumb person here, right now, you know. So it's not only just what are people going to say. You have these internal struggles yourself that you have to overcome and face.
Yes.
You know, besides the
Exactly.
other people, and rightfully so. People being concerned, like, no, Sissy, it's okay. You know, you can do teaching, you can open businesses. You know, you can do your motivational speaking because
Yeah.
English, those ones are going.
Yeah.
But this one, no, it's not.
We're going
It's
to
a
plan
time.
B and plan C now because they're going to have to plan A. Jump in.
But what I've learned is that if God has given you something, and this for me personally was because when I was in first year, coming out from matric, you're excited about varsity, you think you've got this, and we played this game, and my balance sheet didn't balance, and I was like, okay, this is God. Maybe I'm in the wrong career field, and I prayed, and God was like, no, you are in the right career field. So when I was going through all this that I was going through, I went back to pray. I'm like, Lord, this is not what I thought it would be. You know, this is not what I signed up for. I'm supposed to be done by now, you know. And God was like, you're in the right place. I didn't say it would be smooth all the time, you know.
Yeah.
I never gave you that promise. I only promised you that you will get there, you know.
Yeah.
And once I got that revelation and I held on to that, you know, was one day I will get there. And I let go of how long it would take me. And I also had to let go of my preconceived ideas of how life would work, you know, because when we sit, we dream that, okay, by the time I'm 25, I'll be married, I'll buy my first car at 27, first baby at 28, and first car, and all of that. So that had to be crushed completely. And I got to a place to say, okay, then what's the plan that you have for me, and how do you want it to go? And then certain things started happening, like I got car first, house before the CA title, you know. So there was a shift in perspective that I needed to have, you know, from what I had planned. I could not be so rigid. There's a difference between dreaming and being rigid in your planning, which I think that's what hurts us the most as young people. We dream, which is good, but we also become so rigid in it. We do not allow room for anything else. It just has to happen the way Moesh views it and nothing else. So it was just knowing that at some point I'm going to make it.
That's good.
You know.
That's good. That's good. That's beautiful. No, that's beautiful. Like, you know, when you mention the Bible, there's one story that I feel like for me always motivates me in tough times. I see Nona saying, yeah, you never know that you're being strong when you are being strong. Yeah, that's true. One story in the Bible is the story, you know, of Joseph. You know, like he had this big dream, and things just kept going wrong. You know what I'm saying? He's doing the right thing with his father. He gets punished. His brothers, you know, they throw him away. He does the right thing with his master. He gets accused for rape. He goes into another jail. He does the right thing there. But like his life kept going down, even though it's like the biggest of dreams, his life kept going down. You know what I'm saying? So in reality, in our eyes, it can seem like you're failing. It can seem like you are down and out. It can seem like things are only getting worse and worse. But in God's eyes, you know, it's a whole different trajectory for him because he wants you to be trampolining. He wants you to go down like a trampoline. The more pressure you put, the higher that you go, you know? And I felt like even for us, sometimes it's failure. Like sometimes failure pushes us to a point where now when we go up, we go all the way up because you've seen so much and you've done so much and you've been through so much that now when it's our time, you know, when the time is you know, arrives, we're able to go in spheres that other people normally can't go. People get stuck on the ladder up because you've learned so many values, you've learned so many principles on the way down, where, you know, in the process of failure. By the time you go up there, we're able to pass by many phases because we've been through. Like for example, like what you're saying now is you've been through being socially discriminated. You know, you've already experienced the negativity and all. So now at work, that doesn't affect you as much. You know, because you've been through that already. Before you got to your position, you've already achieved. You already achieved all of that even before you got your position. So I think that's like the power of God's plan is that we can overcome so much in the so-called dark times that by the time we get there up to the light, it's smooth sailing for us. You know. But for the sake of the convo as well, like you wrote a whole book, which is, you know, we're gonna get into it even more in depth. But what do you think is kind of like for you when you just the biggest like things that you learn from failure, or like what do you think one of the biggest can be a one or two or a few things that you learn from those areas of failure, either in school or personally as well? Like, what has failure really taught you, or principles that the process of failure taught you?
Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Don't do it. Like, I'm not. You know, when I was in Sunday school, we used to sing, "You must never give up," and we would sing that thing like, okay, yeah. Listen now, right here, that I'm living proof that if you do not give up, and this is what I say in my book. Listen, you will get there. You know, so forget about the time frames, forget about everything, because rightfully, like you said, God knows what He's preparing you for, and He knows the character that's needed for where you are going. You know, so when you go through all that, there are certain things that are being cut out of your life, but you're also gaining some muscle. You know, there are certain things now that happen, and I look at people and I'm like, listen, if you knew where I come from, this is grade 1 stuff for me, you know? And other people go through the same thing and they're like, yo, no, this is go serious. Like, listen, I'm like, this is grade 1 for me. Because of where I've been, you know? So it taught me a lot of muscle. It built a lot of muscle in me, you know, to like, don't worry, certain things are not going to knock me. That otherwise, had I not had that experience, they would have knocked me off completely, you know, at this high level, that they would have knocked me off like that. But because God knew where I was going, like, we need to build this muscle. We need to build this muscle. We need to build this endurance, you know. When certain things come your way, you can't just be falling over, you know. So those are the two things. That process is building a certain muscle in you. And it might not be nice exercising it, but it's building a certain muscle that's needed. Secondly, like give up, that's not even a word in my vocabulary. What does that mean? We do not have. We never, ever. It's not even available in the options. We never give up. Because we miss it right at the niche of it. And this is what I always say to young people. Maybe some of my family members would even bet when I would register. You know, like, okay, she's going in third time, and like, we bet she's gonna fail, you know? And if you looked at it, it was 4 years straight failure. So if you were to ask anybody, she's going for the 5th time, what are her chances? Her track record is that she is a successful failure. That was the track record. Yeah, she's successful at failing. So the 5th time, definitely she's gonna follow the trend, you know? But this was the one time God was like, you are going through, you know? So we never give up, because you might just give up right at the niche of your breakthrough. Yeah.
Wow. No, never give up. I got you. I hear you loud and clear, sis. I hear you loud and clear. And you've got the certificate to prove it as well. Like, I mean, so shout out to you. Shout out to you. Now let's get into this book. Let's get into this book. The Power Within You Too.
Yes.
Interesting title. To what? What power within you to what? What are we saying? What are we talking about?
It's a lot of things, hey, because we are so empowered. It's to endure, like we've spoken already, in different aspects where you feel yourself that I need to endure through this. It's to forgive without an apology. You know, sometimes we think we need an apology for us to forgive. And not really. We can just do that and work through that. And some life lessons taught me that, you know, it is to love. You know, love is something that we give more than as much as we think it's us receiving. You know, I believe that we go into a relationship to give. And receiving is just a bonus in that. You know, to give. We've got the power within us to give, no matter how little we have, you know. And God reminded me this when I was a kid. You know, when we were kids, if one of us had a sweet, either we would break that one sweet or we would take turns, you know, sucking. But we knew the principle of sharing. Yet, as we grow older now, I found myself having reasons. I cannot give to Nsika this much. Kuraf, you know, I need to save this only. You know what I'm saying? So, the power within us to start all over again. Like I said, from the burglary, it was like, guys, I had all these things. Now I have nothing. you know. Now I have to start again, you know. And yes, we've got the power. It's painful to do that, you know. But just because it's painful doesn't mean we're not able to do it. And I think sometimes we allow the pain to stop us from achieving even greater and better things, you know. So yeah, so we've got quite a lot of power within us if we take the time to just get to know us. You know, God created us so wonderfully. You know, if we would take time to get to know ourselves, we would discover amazing things about what God has empowered us to do.
Wow. You just mentioned like so many important, I feel like, if I can say, staples to being successful. And for me, successful, I define success as being happy. You know what I'm saying? For me, if you're happy and you're able to manage everything in your life well to the point where you are happy doing and participating in everything that you're doing, then you are successful, you know. But like when you mentioned forgiveness, I feel like you're touching on something for me personally that's still a work in progress, because I realize that for me, when you don't forgive, that thing builds up. It becomes poison inside of you, where you can actually, I'll just tell it, you know, I share this in my book as well, which I recently put out. I feel like when you don't forgive, you actually put yourself in a place where you can't grow, because now you want to show that person the pain that they gave you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to show you, Ngwesh, that you hurt me. So whenever you see me, I'm not going to smile when you see me, because you need to see that you hurt me.
Yeah.
Whether you moved on, you actually moving on, you're doing other things, but I'm trying to show you that you hurt me. So I'm not going to smile when I see you. I'm going to stay in the same position in life because it's your fault. In my mind, you need to see that it's your fault, you know? And I feel like I've realized this for myself, that we need to set ourselves free. Sometimes we don't grow because of the things that are holding us down inside of us, that we need to let go of, that we need to loosen in our own personal life. Like, we need to say, okay, no, you know what, I'm going to let loose this forgiveness. Not for the other person, but for my sake, so I don't longer focus on that person. So that I can actually be happy, because now I'm happy with my friends. I see, now I have to change my faith, you know, or now I have to leave the vicinity that you're in because you are there. You know, now I cannot give because I feel like you don't deserve, you know, or people around you don't deserve to receive some sort of blessing because of you. And that's unfair on other people as well. So when you speak about forgiveness, like, I just want to hear from you, like, what kind of some of the experiences that you went through with this specific, you know, topic of forgiveness? Like, what are some of the experiences that kind of put you to be like, oh yeah, no, forgiveness is an important power to unlock so that you can rise above, you know, and take yourself to the next level?
You know, two things actually. The first one I touch on in my book. This is where I was accused at church for stealing money. You know, I hadn't taken the money, but what had happened, I was the last person to count the money, and then I handed it over. But for some reason, the person I handed it over to then did not report that they received the money. So the assumption was I ate the money, and long after that, I got married, and I bought a new car. So the pieces just fell nicely. Why? She used the money for the wedding, or she used the money for the car, you know. And it was only a month afterwards that they wanted me to pay back the money at church, you know. And this crushed me, because like, I did not take the money, you know. And I had already left that church, but that affected even my relationship with God, because I was like, Lord, this is not it. You know, you need to show up here for me. And after a while, then the gentleman finally agreed, probably over a year or so. I was like, no, I remember her giving it to me. I forgot that she gave it to me, you know. And I was so hurt and angry at the same time, because I was like, one, not only did this person lie about me, there are people who see me, who have spread this thing, to continue to say, listen, that one smiling with all confidence there stole the church money. You know what I mean? And next thing, they were like, no, they're not going to bring me so that this guy now can apologize to me. No, they are just happy that it's figured, it's cleared, and that's it. And that was the closure for them. And for me, I was like, but my reputation, guys, like, I deserve something, you know, and it wasn't gonna come, you know. And I would sit and cry to the Lord, and the Lord was like, fair enough, but what good is it going to do? Tell me, what is it that you want me to do to this person that's going to undo all of this? And I sat and thought about it. I was like, nothing, really. It's not going to be undone, you know. Even if you were to apologize, we are never going to reach all the people who had had this die. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be undone. Even if we were to reach them all, it's not going to undo the way I felt before that particular point, you know. And for me, that was the breaking point where I could say, even if I were to think of the worst thing that could, I would say, God, you must do this to this man, it wouldn't undo this thing.
That
you know?
Been done.
So at that point, I was like, okay, Lord, I get the picture, so heal me. You know, help me now to heal. Because I think sometimes we hold on because, like you rightfully said, we want them to feel this exact amount of pain. But you will never get it. They're never going to feel it. You know, even if somebody were to do the same thing to them, they're not going to feel it. You know, and I think that's where our problem comes from. And God was like, but it's not going to be undone. So release it. It had happened, you know, and you move on. So yeah, that was quite a lesson.
No, that's real. That's real. And for me, like, I'm a person who really likes learning. Like, I'm not much of a reader. I'm more of a observer. So when I know somebody's story, it gives me motivation to really get to know their story. So, you know, that's the reason why I'm kind of asking. I'm not, you know, don't give too much of the book away because you still need to buy it. But the reason I'm asking is because, like, let's get into some of the story, because it's easy to say you've got a book and it's inspiring, but when we get to know you a little bit, like, that's when, like, and now I really want to know, like, the journey of that forgiveness, of phase of forgiveness, and even with love as well, because many of us, you know, we know Mjono and stuff, but not much of love, and so we're just always expecting to receive. But, you know, the giving aspect takes a lot of strength, and you know. So tell me about now this power to love. Like, you mentioned that it's more about giving than receiving. That's tough, though. That's tough. Like, nah, I want something. Like, I want something. Like, I want something. So how did you find yourself now where you're seeing the power of love or giving in the sphere of love?
I think that came with growth and actually realizing that my love tank is filled by God, you know. And I think that's where we miss it, because for as long as I'm looking at Unthika and I going through, we're gonna have a lot of fight. But the moment I understand that my tank is filled by God, and then from that, I give out, you know. That is why now the Bible can easily say, it doesn't say give to your enemies. It says love your enemies. See, so love is something that will bountifully flow to everybody. It's not the ones who love you back, even the ones who hate you. You have the power within you to love, for as long as you understand that your love tank comes from God. So God gives to you, and you are filled and you give to the people, you know. But what we tend to do, we give and we would want to receive in the same level, and that's where we miss it. But for as long as we look unto God to say, Lord, you fill me so that I go out there. Because now when I do that, it doesn't matter how you receive it or how you perceive it. I'm less likely to be bothered by it, because I'm not dependent on you refueling me. You know, I come to you refueled. I give freely. You know what I mean? And it's not a matter of now you give back to me. No, God will make a plan for me to receive and be refueled. So that's how I learned to love, because for the longest time I would have the same conversations with God, and I think like everybody at some point gets to like, but I've done this for this person, I've done this for this person, they're not appreciative. No. Why are they doing this? Why are they not changing? Why is this happening? You know, again, because you're looking at the wrong person to feel this place that only God can.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I like that because in many ways, especially with Western culture, you know, in terms of love, we believe in this other people can complete us theory, which is so not only false, but it's so damaging, you know, because we wait for the soulmate or we wait for other people to come complete us either with words or actions, you know, and that is such a destructive thought, you know, thought process, because in reality, we, as I say, when you speak about the love tanks, we don't have enough to sustain other. We barely have enough to sustain ourselves. Sure. We definitely don't have enough to sustain another person as well. Because now when you talk about a relationship, I feel like this is why our relationship lasts 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, you know, because we don't have enough energy to keep that relationship going, because we are in ourselves are broken beings, you know, especially when we don't work on ourselves. But the more we work on ourselves, the more we strengthen ourselves, and as you most importantly said, the more we have, you know, of God's love and His understanding in ourselves, the more our tank grows, you know. And then now we go into relationships not needing acceptance. We go into relationships not needing confirmation from other people. We go into relationships not needing confidence from other people, because we already have that. Like, I'm already stamped by the highest authority, so I don't need all of that. I just need somebody who's on the same, you know, on the same lane as me, going the same direction as me. And I believe that's when you really find, you know, the most purest relationships, when you are somebody that you're side by side in. Not, you know, in terms of purpose and life, but not necessarily somebody who just completes you with, because they give you confidence or they give you acceptance, because now you're depending on a human and we don't have enough energy to sustain one another. That's just the truth, you know, on just a human level. So that's really powerful, man. Yo, this book sounds amazing. Okay, I've got a few more questions, but like, where are we getting this book? What are we doing about this book? Where are we getting it? How can we get it? I mean, you're all the way in Emoji. Like, what must I do? What's the story?
You can go to my website, www.jaguarempires.co.za. You contact me there, or WhatsApp me 061-457-4986, or on social media, Jaguar Empires or Ngwash Jaco. You will find me, and we'll make a plan to get you the book.
Awesome. How much is the book?
The book is 50 rands, and then the courier will be added depending on where you are.
Okay, awesome. No, big man. So you just said something as well that I just wanted to touch on as well, in terms of, excuse me, Jaco Empires. So what's the vision of that? Because the whole empire, the woman is taking over. Okay, tell me about this empire that you're creating there, Monty. What's happening with the empire?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, I love developing people. So Empires is, we've got 4 pillars really. We've got the talks, which would include conferences and talks that we do. We've got projects. We do quite a lot of project management, you know. We do investments. One of the things I'm passionate about is investing in other people's visions, you know. And I think because I've been through that, where you need people to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. So we look for such opportunities to just invest in people. And then we've got education and training, you know, and our belief is that most of the education happens outside the classroom, you know. So we want to create those platforms where we educate our people outside the classroom, so that they don't have the word of test mark and whatever, you know. So we started like from extra classes to facilitating for older people and team buildings and quite a lot. So that's what Jaguar Empires is about.
Beautiful. I like that a lot, because as you're saying, like, sometimes you need somebody to believe in you more than you believe in yourself, because of some of the things that you've heard as an individual. You know what I'm saying? You might have an awesome gift. You might know your purpose, but because of the environment that you're in, it can restrain you so much that you feel like your dreams or purpose will never be achieved. So it's so important to have mentorship programs where, you know, somebody from the outside can come in and say, listen, you are valuable, or what you have is valuable. The dream is valid. Come here, you can do it. You know, I mean, we're both from Eastern Cape. Like, we know, like, how, like, you know, we like resources, we like sponsorship and things like that. Yet, you know, I think the third biggest province in the country, there are so many dreams, you know, so many gifted, like naturally gifted, you know, children and young leaders here as well. So we really need to get in a sphere where we are really encouraging one another. And I feel like it's so cool of you. You know, you're an author, you are a CA, you know, you are involved in so many things, to take your time out and actually invest in other people. I think that's like really beautiful, and I feel like that's what life is about, really. You know, what you have is not just for you. You know, you've been given in abundance so that you can also share in abundance as well. And that's where now the cycle can grow. And as you're saying, like, it's not just for us, you know, it's for everybody. You know, God's given us purpose so that we can feed the nations in whatever our gift or purpose is. And I feel like that's something that's so beautiful. And I see you're really, really into this mentorship thing. So I just want to ask, like, for you, like, with leadership, like, what are some of the things that you feel like, what we need, you know, as the youth? You know, I know you have been in mentoring people. So what are some of the things that you feel like the youth 2021 really needs to hear about, or really needs to look into, or, you know, what can we do within ourselves, in our spaces, so that we can become those leaders, you know, in our spheres and in our spaces as well?
The first thing is to open up. I think that is very, very important. You need to be able to find somebody you can be real with. I think as young people, we tend to want to protect ourselves. Everything, because maybe we've been hurt so many times, or whatever the case might be. But nobody's going to be able to help you if you don't open up. And there are certain things you will not be able to do on your own. You need to bring people on the journey, you know. So you need to bring people in this vision, because you cannot do it on your own. So you need to open up. You need to learn to open up, you know, take that risk to trust and open up. That is very, very important. And secondly, you've got to be accountable. You've got to be accountable to somebody, you know, because if you are not, you are going to fall in a ditch that, had you been accountable to somebody, they would have told you that actually there's this ditch here, so let's try it this way, you know. So it's so nice to have a dream and you're like, okay, I want to do things like this, but unless you have somebody, or you discuss that with somebody else, they'll show you, but actually there's an easier way. Even though you thought your way was the best, somebody must just surprise you and say, how we could actually do it. Or, yeah, you will do it like that, but this will be the headache in the long run, you know. So it's very, very important that you be accountable. And the third thing for me that's very key in leadership, doesn't matter which level you are at. It doesn't matter where you're at. Yeah. There are people who are looking up to you, who would love to be at that level. So you're already a leader in your own right. It's a matter of how now you are exercising that. So you need, again, to open up to those ones who are not where you're at. And I think for some of us, it's like, okay, no, let me first work on myself. And when I get there, then I will start thinking about pulling people or doing certain things. But people want to be where you are. For them, that is making it the level where you are at, because they are so far gone. So I think for me, those are the three things that are very, very critical for us to get leadership right, because it's a continuous process.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. There's nothing to say after that. There's really, really nothing to say after that. Guys, let's get the book. This is really powerful stuff. Like, I feel, no, I feel like you're talking to me. You're preaching to me right now. Ngwash, I really appreciate your time. We just have a question as well that I just want to ask you answer quickly before you head out. Noah is asking, is the book available in digital copies, or only hard copy?
We're working on digital copies. Hopefully soon it will be available. At the moment, it's still hard copies.
Okay. So once again, slide in Moisha's DM. She gave us permission to slide in her DMs. So slide her DMs, send her your address, and she'll sort you out with the book as well, and
Yes.
all of that. One more thing before we go. Apparently, you have a conference as well, 23rd of October, something like that. Plug that,
Yes. All right. So from the book that we did in 2018, The Power Within You Too, and in between I did talks, different talks over the years. And this year we're going big. We're doing our first annual Power Within You Too conference. So it's in East London on the 23rd of October, Lifestyle Summit Center. If you go to the website, you will get details, or DM me. I will give you details. The ticket is 350. You will be fed physically, emotionally, spiritually. All your allies will be fed, and you'll be empowered. You know, so that's happening on the 23rd of October. Yes.
Awesome. 23rd of October. Awesome.
Yes.
Emont, thank you so much.
Yes.
Smash, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.